you did it. Good for you. Good for you. You got everybody mad at you. You voted down the school millage. Now you got all these kids running around. They'll be on the streets destroying Dearborn. What's the matter with you? Well, anyway, life goes on. How are you? It's a Sunday night. This is live. What you see is what you get. If you're watching on Wednesday, don't call me. I'm not going to be here on Wednesday. You're watching a tape. It's not me. And so tonight, though, we've got a couple guests for you. I think it's an odd combination. We've got Mr. Marrou, who is running for president on the Libertarian ticket. Those are the Libertarians you keep hearing about. They keep jumping around. They never win anything. Well, once in a while. But one day they might surprise us all. When we all get fed up to here with the Democrats and the Republicans and the others, they might just surprise us. There may be a third party someday, hopefully. I'd like to see it. I think it's about time we throw all the rascals out. But anyway, we're going to be talking to Andre in just a minute. And then a little bit later, I got a guy from Texas or New Zealand or Zimbabwe or somewhere who wants to talk about ostriches. He wants us to start eating ostriches or something. Can you imagine some guy coming on the show talking about that? So we'll have him. And if you want to talk about the school election, from 9 until 10, have at it. You know, go, you've got it all. At that time, we'll talk about pay for play. And by the way, that's the question tonight. And if you have an opinion on pay for play, call what number? Put it on the machine so I can read it. There you go. Is it going to pop up? Oh, there it is, yeah. Don't start calling there until 8:30. And that number to call is 336-6661. Now, jot that down. Go get a pencil. Keep it up for a minute, because nobody ever has a pencil when they put numbers on television. You run around. You never have it when somebody calls you at home. Oh, I've got to make a note. Where's that pencil? Write it down. 336-6661. And the question is, do you support pay for play in the Dearborn Public Schools? Now, if you have some friends and neighbors that are all upset about the fact that we're charging the kids to play football, basketball, also band, the games, the chess club, all these things are going to be charged money for because the millage failed. It's called holding the kids hostage. You can call us, and you can let us know how you feel about pay for play, but don't call me to talk about that till 9 o'clock. Now, you got your directions clear? Okay, that's good. I'm glad you got that clear. And we'll be chit-chatting. Now, this is live on Sunday night. 271-4848. That's the number to call here. 271-4848. You got it? 271-4848. And that's live on Sunday night. And we can talk about, what do you think, Mr. Andre Marrou? What about the Libertarian Party? You ever heard of them? You know what they stand for? Aren't they the dope smokers? I think they're the dope smokers. They want legalized dope, right? Well, he's putting his hand up. He's saying, that's an unfair question. No, it's not. It's not unfair. It's true. A lot of us think maybe it should be legalized. Decriminalized, at least, you know. Is there a difference? 271-4848. Call your friends and neighbors. Say, Gibb's on, yelling and screaming and jumping up and down. And tell them to tune in. And we can have some fun tonight. Now, actually, this school millage thing at 9 o'clock, we're going to spend the whole hour on that. I'm sure there are a lot of opinions on pay for play, why the millage failed, and would you vote for it again? These are some things that people are talking about. Some people say it was close. I don't think it was that close. Nearly half the citizens in this town, better than half, said no, they don't want it. They're disgusted with what's going on. I happen to have supported the millage. And I'm going to support the next one. You hear me? I mean, even if they're holding the kids hostage or the boys upstairs are doing things that you and I don't like, the bottom line is that I don't think the kids should have to be penalized for the activities or the lack of activity on the part of school boards and adults and you know, school bureaucrats. So you think about that, okay? 271-4848. That's the number to call. And we're going to put up some commercials and pay some bills. And then when I come back, I'll have Mr. Andre Marrou, who is the presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party. I didn't call Bush. I didn't think he'd come down. He's probably too busy on a Sunday evening. That's probably the night that his wife, what's her name? I like her, Barbara. Barbara probably cooks that night. You know, they have leftovers, so she couldn't make it down. And Clinton, Slick Willie, he's probably out, you know, he's probably watching the Playboy channel somewhere, Slick Willie. So they couldn't make it on Sunday. But Andre came down, and when he's big and famous, then, you know, I'll say, I knew him when. I tell you, I have a picture of myself with President Ford, President Carter, and President Nixon. No, Reagan. Maybe I ought to get a picture with you, just in case you make it. No, you want me to do the commercials? They're yelling in the control room again. 271-4848. Russ Gibb, I'll be back. Don't go away.
Fairview Radiology offers state-of-the-art diagnostic imaging services. All of our patients are treated like family.
Beyond experience and commitment, Fairview Radiology offers a wide range of outpatient imaging services, complete general X-ray exams, fluoroscopy studies, low-dose mammography, the latest in ultrasound advances, and innovative imaging through nuclear medicine. Fairview Radiology, a step into the future. For more information, call 581-3000.
Hello, I'm George Sells, coming to you from the Eye Surgery Institute in Dearborn, Michigan. Radiokeratotomy, the surgery used to treat myopia, is simple, safe, and successful.
Dr. Stanley C. Grandin of the Eye Surgery Institute has performed more than 5,000 radiokeratotomies, the microsurgical procedure that permanently corrects nearsightedness.
Thousands of people who were once restricted by nearsightedness have a new vision, a richer vision of life.
For more information, call 582-8856.
Come to Pet Supply Warehouse for the largest selection of pet food and supplies in the greater Dearborn area. We have over 10,000 items for all kinds of pets, from dogs and cats to small animals and birds, at everyday low discount prices. For your dog or cat, we have premium brands of pet food, as well as your favorite supermarket brands. Talk with our certified pet nutrition advisors to help determine your pet's special needs. Pet Supply Warehouse. We have everything you need to keep your pets healthy and happy. Just ask Stanley.
Screw it, glue it, cut it, paint it. And when you paint, make sure to stop by Hansa's Ace Hardware for top quality Ace paints. No matter what type of paint you need, interior or exterior, latex or enamel, flat or semi-gloss, you'll find it at Hansa's Ace Hardware in practically every color imaginable. Remember, Ace is your painting place. For all your paint and painting supplies, it's Hansa's Ace Hardware, 13320 West Warren, 1.5 blocks east of Schaefer Road in Dearborn.
Your tests look fine, but I still need to see you again in 6 months, all right?
This blood sample looks very good.
The artery looks terrific. You're doing great.
Over 1,000 physicians in virtually every specialty and subspecialty. They know advanced medicine means remembering the basics. That's Oakwood. For more information or the name of an Oakwood physician, call 1-800-543-WELL.
On Friday and Saturday, September 18th and 19th, Dearborn Kiwanians hit the streets in our orange vests to sell peanuts in our only public fundraiser. These same Kiwanians are active in a variety of community service projects throughout the year, from scouts to senior buses, handicapped kids, the Salvation Army, scholarships, Fairlane Mansion, and more, all benefit. Please, don't forget the Dearborn Kiwanis Club's Peanut Drive, September 18th and 19th. Thank you.
Now, podiatrist Dr. Alan Dorfman has laser. Laser, a red beam of light that vaporizes ingrown nails, removes unsightly warts and moles, destroys fungus quickly, painlessly. Dr. Dorfman has new in-office techniques that include microsurgery and laser. And seniors, Dr. Dorfman offers free pickup and delivery service to and from the office. Dr. Alan Dorfman, located at Michigan and Telegraph, is lighting the way with laser. Call today.
back again, and here's my guest, presidential candidate, Andre Marrou. It sounds like you should be on Northern Exposure.
I like the sound. I like that, too.
Do you watch that show?
Every once in a while, I watch it.
One of my ex-kids is a writer on that.
No kidding.
Yeah, Steve Turner. Yeah, he writes Northern Exposure. Well, they have 5 writers.
Is he any kind of Janine Turner?
No, that's a whole different trip. But you notice that her, on the part that she plays, her father is a designer, an automotive guy in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. That's where Steve parents grew up. He grew up here in Dearborn, but it was sort of funny that they do that. Anyway, we didn't call about that. We want to know, what is the Libertarian Party? Now, I'm going to give you the camera.
Okay.
Here, there's paper. You can read your notes if you want. Go tell me why we should vote for you. Put the camera on him.
We want to restore constitutional government. We want to bring back less government, lower taxes, more freedom. We're the only people talking, for example, about doing away with the income tax and abolishing the IRS. That alone would put $300 to $500 a month more in the pocket of the average worker in the United States. We can bring the troops back home to defend the United States as opposed to defending Japan, Germany, Korea, and 45 other countries around the world. If we bring the troops back home, then that means that the Japanese have to pay more money for their defense. Instead of we paying for it, they'll have to pay for it. That means that their cars will cost more because they will not be able to subsidize the car industry anymore. This will put jobs here in Michigan. And only the Libertarian Party is talking about doing that. With regard to personal rights, increasingly the Democrats and Republicans either want to mandate activity or they want to prohibit activity. They either want to require you to do something you don't want to do, or they want to prevent you from doing something you do want to do. The whole middle ground of individual choice combined with personal responsibility has been getting smaller and smaller and smaller. That middle ground is what we want to expand so that you have the maximum control over your time, your body, and your money. To put it another way, government power is diametrically opposed to individual liberty. Individual liberty consists of the control of your time, your body, and your money, and as that goes up or down, then government power goes also opposite to that. Right now, the federal government spends 25% of all the money in this country. The state, county, and local government spend another 22%. That's a total of 47%. The federal government over here has got 47%. We only get to spend about 53%. The only way to get our 53% up to 90 is to reduce the government's take from 47 down to 10. Only the Libertarian Party is talking about doing that. Only the Libertarian Party is serious. And before you ask, as Russ may here, as to how we're going to get rid of the income tax...
I'm fixing the table. Go right ahead.
Fixing the table?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening.
Bear in mind that we've already done it. We've already got rid of the state personal income tax in Alaska about 12 years ago. We did it. State government is still alive and well. But we did get rid of that very onerous, oppressive burden that the people of Alaska were paying. We did it at the state level, and we can also do it at the national level. Only the Libertarian Party is serious about this. Only the Libertarian Party quotes Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Paine, and others who are fond of saying, that government is best, which governs least. We agree with that. That's what we want to do.
Those are sort of that's an interesting platform. Pull it back. You can put me in the picture now if you want. Wake up. Wake up. There he goes. He's waking up now. He's asleep there.
Was he?
He's a young person. They don't vote, you know, many of them.
Yes, I know that.
That's a problem.
Well, we're going to try to get some of them actually.
Well, MTV is trying to get him vote. We'll have to do you in color. Can you do any of those psychedelic things on him?
I've already done MTV.
Oh, you done MTV?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. We could make you in color and divide you and have you zeroing off and echo chambers, and you could be, you know, the kids would get into that. Of course, I wonder if they realize how serious it is to have a president. I'll tell you, I like a lot of things you're saying. I love the fact that Japan should handle their own stuff, that we ought to get out, stop being policemen in the world. And, you know, because all the parties use it. When whatever's in power, when we do what's good for us, the other power says, oh, you're backing a dictator. And then it reverses, and then they always go back and forth. The other thing I liked was the fact that you didn't want taxes, but how could you run the government without taxes?
It's very easy. If we bring the troops back home, that alone will save $50 to $100 billion. Another thing we can do is to stop replacing federal bureaucrats. 7 to 10% leave every year. They retire, they resign, or they die. Stop replacing them, and in 4 years we get rid of 28% to 40% of the federal bureaucracy. It is that easy. All it takes is the courage and the intelligence to do it. And we haven't seen much of that in Washington recently.
No, but no president has been able to shake that bureaucracy. I worked down in Washington.
Did you? What did you do?
I was a national director of youth and education for the Ford White House during the bicentennial years. I worked for John Warner. He became famous when he married Liz. So I'd been to Washington for 3 years. I saw the bureau. I went down there, a Democrat, turned to become a Republican, and now believe in kings and emperors. Yeah, honest
you
to
know,
God.
that's what Bush's nickname is, King George.
King George, didn't they?
King George, Slick Willie, and me.
Well, and then there's the, what did I drop here? Anyway, then there's the other one they call them the Imperial Congress. But, you know, that's what I saw out there. In fact, in Washington, you can write your own job description. You know, oh yeah, that's many times they write when they want.
Can I write mine? I want to be president.
Yeah, well, that's what you have to do. And then the other thing is they get about 25% more than in private industry for what they do.
They do.
Their salaries.
They get 26 grand, and the average American worker gets 22 grand. That's true.
And they also tend to have a different Social Security program. I mean, they have all these benefits that they've piled on for themselves, the federal government. I read the other day where the post office has 80% in expenses, labor costs. UPS, and what's the other one? Federal Express? They only have 60%.
Well, I believe it. That's why they call it the U.S. snail.
The U.S. snail?
Yeah, you've heard it called that?
No, I've never heard of that. But I'll tell you, I think that the government, of course, is out of control. But how do you bring that under? These guys all vote. You know, they vote, and they're saying, oh, well, we're going to keep what we've got here. You know, when they got your hands in your pocket, they like it.
Well, they do vote, but there's not that many of them compared to the rest of us. You know, there's probably 100 million American voters, and there's only, what, 3 or 4 million people in the federal government bureaucracy.
Yeah, but most people get their information from newspapers.
Oh, no, they
television.
Don't. No, they get it from television.
Yeah, and that makes me really worried. You ever watch us?
Well, yeah.
I mean, I mean, that's the funniest thing in the world. I mean, these guys don't bring in. The president comes on and gives a speech, and then immediately before and after, you have these so-called experts telling me what he said or what he's going to say. That is cow manure. You know, that's all that is. That's junk.
Well, I agree.
And people have turned off to it. We've got a media overload here. And I don't trust television, the radio. I always tell people here that if you believe everything I say, you need your head examined.
That's why we need the Libertarian government, because when I
That's why you need more Gibb on television.
When I hand out my card, there are 10 issues on the inside, and we're pretty straightforward. See, repeal the personal income tax and abolish the IRS.
Yeah, well, but how are you going to do that,
rights.
though? Tell me how you're going to do
Really?
that. I mean, you're saying you're going to do it, but tell me how you're doing it.
Okay, we get rid of the income tax. That's only brings in about 1/3 of federal revenues. We get rid of that. That leaves us 2/3 to operate the government on. And that 2/3 is equal to the entire government budget just 7 years ago. Now, in 1985, you probably remember, no one was running around hollering, oh, my God, the federal government is too small. Well, it wasn't too small then, it was too big, and now we have too big plus 1/3. All we have to do to get rid of the federal income tax is to get rid of the excessive government that the Democrats and Republicans have created during the past 7 years. That's all we have to do. It would be that simple, it would be that easy, but only the Libertarians are actually talking about it.
Yeah, you never hear the Democrats or the Republicans talk about that.
Oh,
They're
no,
afraid.
no.
See, the Beltway, those things within the Beltway is like a never land. It's like that Oz land. I mean, you know, they're all, I don't know if well, some of them smoke marijuana down there. The staffers do, you know.
Yeah,
they'd like to vote for you. You want to legalize all that stuff, don't you?
Well, we only want to legalize it as it was prior to 1914 in order to get rid of drug crime. Now, you cannot get rid of drug usage. We tried to get rid of alcohol usage for 13 years, 1920 to 1933. We didn't. What we did was created drug crime, which we call today gangsterism. When we re-legalized alcohol in 1933, drug crime stopped immediately, and the usage of the drug has been declining ever since then. For example, today you can buy light beer, which was not available 15 years ago, and you can buy non-alcoholic beer, which is not even available 3 or 4 years ago. That's what happens when you re-legalize a drug. If we re-legalize these other drugs, as we did with marijuana in Alaska 1975 to 1990, the usage will decline and we'll get rid of drug crime almost immediately. That's what we should do. It's not that we favor drugs. We don't. We feel it's your responsibility. But prior to 1914, all drugs were available in this country. They were cheap. They were readily available. There was no crime associated with them. Coca-Cola, for example, had cocaine in it. That's why they called it Coca-Cola. And if someone used a drug, it was considered just a vice, not a crime, much like smoking cigarettes or drinking beer is today. That's the way it should be in the future. If somebody wants to take drugs, ruin their body. It's their business, provided they don't expect you and me to pay for the hospital bill.
What does William Burroughs say about that?
I don't know. What does he say about it?
I don't know. I just wondered. You ever read The Naked Lunch?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what he said. I do know that a lot of people have come out in favor of re-legalizing drugs.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, there's some real logic behind legalizing it. And yet there's that terrible fear that once it's legalized, everybody will go out and say, you know, let's have a joint, and you'll see doctors and, of course, half the lawyers I know are toked anyway.
It didn't happen when we re-legalized alcohol, 1933. A few people went out to see what it was like, but then after that, they...
you know what stopped me from drinking?
I give up what? Your wife?
No, vomiting.
Vomiting?
Yeah, when you drink too much, you get the Gurfy. You know, you go all over the place.
You don't get that from that Diet Coke, do you?
Well, just about. I wish they'd pay me, and then I'd say nice things about it. No, but I think people might experiment a little bit with it, but then I think you're right. You take the...
Well, stop the free hospitalization. Stop the free hospitalization. You know, along with individual choice must go personal responsibility.
And then you'd have every minority in the world yelling at you. You don't care about us. You know, they'll all be screaming and hollering. Well, babies, that's what they are.
There are other things we can do.
Big babies. Don't know enough about responsibility.
Seize foreign aid. We can seize foreign aid. Why should we penalize our workers to send money overseas?
Oh, I've never figured that one out.
You know, when was the last time you saw the Japanese Peace Corps here in Detroit helping out the poor folks?
Well, wait, I got another one. When's the last time you saw some of the do-gooders who are always running around the world, saving down in El Salvador and going down cutting cane in Cuba, as some of our folks in Dearborn did, and why weren't they right down here in the neighborhoods helping out? There's something glamorous. Young people like to travel, and if they think it's a free trip, they run over to Germany to help out. Or we'll go to Europe. We'll go to Prague, and we'll start a newspaper and help them there. It's all crazy. They want free trips. Well, that looks like a loaded question.
Shall I answer that?
Well, yeah, we'll give a phone number.
Okay.
I'm talking to Andre Marrou. He's the presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party. They got some interesting ideas. And somebody says, is there a book on the Libertarian Party that he can get or that you might recommend?
There are a lot of books on the philosophy. I don't know of any books on the party, per se. One of the books on the philosophy is by, as a matter of fact, a Michigan woman, Dr. Mary Ruart, who lives in
I've had her on the show. I like that
lady. Has she been here?
Yeah, a couple
times. She's from Detroit originally.
Is she?
Yeah, she's from Detroit.
I like her ideas on education.
It's in her book, Healing Our World, which is available on the newsstand. And if you want to get more information, you can call 1-800-343-1364. It's on the screen right now.
Now, that's to find out about the Libertarian Party.
About the Libertarian Party. The book is called
Michigan?
Healing...
Is that the Michigan Party?
That's the Michigan Libertarian
Party. Well, keep that number up for a while. You hear me? Keep the number up for a while so we can see what's going on. All right, good. Well, just in case you were fooling around up there.
And the book is called Healing Our World by Dr. Mary J. Ruart. Mary has a doctorate degree in biophysics, for goodness sakes, from MSU. And she lives in Kalamazoo. She's a senior research scientist out there with the Upjohn Company. So, yes, I'd recommend that.
Well, I'll tell you, the more I hear about the Libertarian Party, the more interested I get, honestly. You know, I kid you a lot, and I got to the point in my life, I've cried so much, I have to laugh at all the craziness that I see going on in the world.
Well, I knew you were an intelligent person, but this just confirms what I always thought.
It'll be $1. I usually charge anybody.
How about a Diet Coke?
I got one. I was going to buy you one, but I only brought one with me.
Promises, Russ, promises.
I know. Listen, at least you got a sense of humor. How did you become the president?
Well, I'm not the president yet.
No, but I mean, how did you become the candidate? How did you become the candidate?
We do it just like the other guys do. We had a whole bunch of state conventions last year, and I went to about half of them.
Did you?
And lined up delegates, and I won it on the very first ballot at our national convention, which was in Chicago last August.
How many of you folks do you have running around, do you think?
We have over 600 candidates running for various offices across the United States.
600?
Yeah. 600.
How many got elected last time? 10?
Well, in April, actually, this year, we elected, I think, about a dozen across the United States in special elections. So we've elected, I think, 2 or 3 or 4 here in Michigan, and we will be electing more. We're doing very well right now in California, and New Hampshire, and in Alaska.
Why do you think those states?
Well, that's a good question. Alaska and New Hampshire are the only states where we've elected Libertarian legislators. I was the third elected in Alaska, and then we elected 2 in New Hampshire. And I suppose it's because those states think of themselves more as, individualistic, or they want to be free of government control. For example, the state slogan in New Hampshire is "Live Free or Die." That's a pretty good state slogan. In Alaska, people usually move to Alaska to get away from government, to get away from excessive regulations and high taxes. And it works pretty well until they finally find out that the government in Alaska is actually the most expensive state government in history. And they have more bureaucrats per capita than any other state government in history. Yeah. And then they start becoming a libertarian about that time, and that's when we get them.
And how long have you been? What did you do before you were a libertarian? I mean,
politically?
Politically.
I'm one of the few Americans who will admit in public that I voted for Dick Nixon twice.
Did you?
The reason I did, he said he was going to cut taxes, reduce the bureaucracy, roll back regulation, all of the above. I voted for him. He didn't do it, but then neither did Bush, neither did Reagan, and for that matter, neither did Franklin Roosevelt, who, when he was running for president in 1932, 60 years ago, said he was going to cut the government and cut taxes 25%. He didn't do it, and he kind of set the stage for the others that came later. Nixon,
well,
Bush, Reagan.
Even it went up under the Democrat Jimmy Carter, didn't it?
It did indeed.
Yeah,
it did.
They keep, because part of that, see, one of the things that bother me, I hear people saying, oh, the president's got a deficit. The president just supplies the budget. It's Congress that decides how much money you have, right? And what
That's
you spend.
true. But George Bush has never even presented a balanced budget. Neither did Reagan. You know, they just don't do it. They talk about it,
asked for
but
the line veto. If you'd give them the line veto, they might be cut out some of the pork barrel line or whatever they call that.
Not
stuff.
necessary, not
You
necessary.
don't
When
think
I'm
so?
elected president, I'm going to institute a line item veto
You
and
think
dare
you'd
Congress
do
to
that?
anything about it.
Listen, they'd have you hog-tied and flying.
Russ,
from
now wait
the
a minute.
top.
I've already been there. I've already been there. I know how these people react.
I do
I've been
too,
in
and when you
office.
start messing around with post offices and bureaucrats and entitlements, people go nuts. They
Well, I'll
want
do
it
it.
for everybody else but themselves.
I'll do it. By the way, I want to issue a challenge here. Not to you.
Well, go ahead. There's
To
the camera.
George Bush and Bill Clinton. You guys are going to try to keep me out of the presidential debates the way that you kept me out and Congressman Ron Paul,
Did
my
they
running
do
mate
that?
in
They're not letting you
1988.
yap?
Nope, they kept us out of the debates in '88, and they're going to try it again this year. They're going to try to keep me and Dr. Nancy Lord out. So I'd like to issue a new challenge. That is two things which would be much more objective than a debate, and one of them is a test of intelligence. The other one is a test of a sense of humor. I think I could beat George Bush and Bill Clinton on both, and I think Nancy Lord, my running mate, could beat Al Gore and Dan Quayle also on both a sense of humor and an intelligence test. So there is a challenge. Let's see if you guys are man enough to take up the challenge.
Yeah, I'm sure they're watching.
Well,
Did
I
I
hope
ever
they
tell
are.
you how I got
Sooner
Jimmy
or later,
Carter?
somebody's going to tell them.
Wait a minute. I'll tell you what to do. I'm going to give you an idea. I did this with Jimmy Carter. I
did?
met Jimmy down at a rock concert. He used to have the Allman Brothers.
Jimmy Carter at a rock concert?
Yeah, well,
Surely
see,
you jest.
now wait, no, yeah, you know, I come from rock and roll. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe.
That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
hard
yeah,
to believe.
yeah.
What did you play,
yeah,
drums?
the Tommy was played in my stage before it was played anywhere in the
Really?
country. Yeah, I used to hang out with a kid named, he was just an art student in London when I was over there. He's
So anyway, Jimmy
Eric
Carter.
Clapton.
Eric Clapton?
Yeah, okay, and all these guys, I know him.
Slowhand Clapton?
Slowhand Clapton. Well, he's had a lot of problems in his life. But the bottom line on all of this is I wanted to reach Jimmy. I ran into him down at the Allman Brothers. Phil Spector,
Phil Spector, yeah.
No, it's not Spector. It's Phil, the guy down in Macon, Georgia, had the record company down there. And Jimmy was the first governor to legalize, to make a law that you couldn't make phony records. I forget what they call it.
Pirate records?
Pirate records, see? Okay, so they all liked him. All the music industry were backing Jimmy. And anyway, I met him down there, and I was sort of impressed with the guy. You know, here he's sort of laid back, and I said, well, this guy might be pretty interesting. So anyway, we got talking, and I said, I have some ideas for you. I'm very shy, you notice. And so I told Jimmy that I had some ideas for him, and I wrote him, and I never got an answer. Now, that really teed me off. So what I did, I took ads on a radio station in Macon, Georgia. They cost me a total of $300. And you remember the song, Tommy, Can You Hear Me? Well, I had these made up, Jimmy, Can You Hear Me? And you know what?
No, what?
He called. He
Yeah.
called. You're damn right he did. And that made all the national wires when I did that. Now, I suggest that you do the same thing in Washington.
Wait a minute. Why don't you do the same for me? I mean, you spent $300 on Carter. Why don't you spend $500 on me? You have to allow for inflation here.
Yeah.
And put a song out there and say something
Well,
like...
it's not a song. You just take some music in the background
know.
and you give a line.
I know. I got a song title for you.
Okay.
I Love You, Andre Marrou. What do you think of that?
Anyway.
You're speechless. You're speechless.
No, what you want to do is where does Clinton live?
Arkansas.
Arkansas. I'll tell you how to get some national publicity, all right? I know the media. I've dealt with them all my life. They're, you know, they're all, most of them can just read. That's about all they can do. They have a brain in their head.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
anyway, yeah, no, many of them.
A few of us do, but very
no,
few.
what you do is you take a small couple of ads on the station in Macon and one in Washington, D.C., and you do something and challenge them on the air. And then you call up all the news media, because most reporters are lazy, and the wire services are extremely lazy. And what you do, you say, did you hear that? He's got an ad on, challenge him to come on the debate, and then you get national publicity. See, the media reads the media. You're aware of that.
Oh, yeah. I probably should do it in Little Rock instead of Macon,
Well,
because
did I
Clinton
say
lives in
Macon?
Little Rock.
No, I meant Little Rock.
Okay.
Yeah. And you could buy that cheap in some little station down there. But make sure the local papers know what you're doing. You're challenging him to put on a debate. And
Well,
for about $500, you'll get national publicity. Mark my word.
Well, there is a challenge.
And then you call up the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, and you send press releases that that's what you're doing, that you want to have a debate.
Well,
I got to go. You've had your time. I got to go talk about ostriches.
Is that it?
Or something. What?
Is that it? You're leaving me to go,
No,
to go
I'm going
talk
to talk about
ostriches?
Yeah, we have an interesting show here.
Here we
Well,
have
listen,
important
Andre, it's been
issues to
nice seeing
discuss.
you. If you make it to the White House, call me over. Reagan had me for dinner.
I will. I'll do
Did I
that.
tell you he had me for dinner?
Yeah, but you paid $300 for ads for him. Now, you got to do the same
No,
for me.
no, that was for Jimmy Carter. Jimmy never invited me to dinner.
Excusez-moi.
No.
Excusez-moi.
No, he gave me peanuts. Life goes on.
Come to the White House, I'll give you Alaska salmon. How's that?
But yeah, well, that'd be great. I just had that the other day. I love salmon. It's great. Listen, give your number again. Put his number up here, the 800 number, if they want to call him.
1-800-343-1364.
Oh, wait, I forgot the sign. I keep promising. Look at this sign. I love it.
Enough is enough. I love it.
I love it, too. You stand there. Isn't that great? Enough is enough. Vote Libertarian. That's a great sign.
I love
Can
it.
I keep this?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to cross this out. I'm just going to say enough is enough. I've had it with everything. You get my age and, you know, what do you care?
Well, I don't know. We're doing pretty well here. Maybe we should go on national television, you know?
Listen, if I took over your campaign, I'd get you a lot of publicity. That I know how to do. I buried Paul McCartney. Remember Paul is Dead? Play the records backwards? That was me. Yeah.
You did that?
Yeah, sure.
my
I
goodness.
sold millions of records for Columbia with that scam.
Did Tipper Gore ever hire you?
No, but I'd like to work her over. I don't mean that literally. I mean mentally. And because both those babies need some straightening out, I'll tell you. Some of the things they've said just drive me crazy. Both of them.
Well, I agree.
Anyway,
Well,
life
thank you.
goes on.
I appreciate
Whackmaster.
it. Vote Libertarian.
Libertarian. Whackmaster, you know who puts this out?
I have no idea. It looks
I
like a
was
zebra.
flying home the other day from Los Angeles, and I was sitting to a kid that used to play for me, Ted Nugent. And this is what Ted puts out. His little Whackmaster book. He's a bow hunter, you know.
Oh, really?
And that's what it's all about. And he lives in Kalamazoo up here. Or no, Jackson. It's up in Jackson. Yeah, so interesting. Anyway, it was good luck to you.
Appreciate it.
It's nice having you on the show.
bet.
I
My
do wish you
pleasure.
a lot of luck, and I think you guys are on the right track. Keep pounding away. And listen to this guy on ostriches. He may have an idea for you. They tell me they make everything out of ostriches.
Do they?
Yeah,
And you
they
make
don't
fried-
call them ostriches. What do you call them?
Ostriches.
Emus? Emus.
An emu. That's a small ostrich, isn't it? From
I
a
don't
different
know.
country.
It sounds like something that ought to be up in Northern Exposure on that TV show, an emu. Anyway, thank you. Goodbye. He's going. Put a commercial on. We're going to get the next guest. Do something. I gotta get. There you go. The question of the week.